February 22nd, 2026. 20 Mexican states shut down at the same time. Not slowly, not gradually, all at once. Highways turned into walls of fire. Armed convoys rolling through city centers in broad daylight. Flights grounded across the entire region. American tourists barricaded inside hotel rooms, watching their city burn through the windows. The government called it a security incident. The people watching their streets disappear under smoke called it what it was. The king was dead. But before we talk about how he died, we need to talk about what nobody else is talking about. A man deported for a $50 heroin deal came back and shot down a military helicopter, a $15 million bounty, 2 governments, a Pentagon task force, 10 years, nothing. The most wanted man on earth, found because of a car ride. How? $1989, San Francisco. No documents, no English, no plan. He worked whatever paid, dishwashing, fields, day labor, then the streets. Small at first, a mugshot, a warning, nothing serious. Then it got serious. Federal heroin conspiracy. Guilty plea. 3 years in a US federal prison. And right here, right at this moment that looks like a dead end, is where the real story begins, because prison didn't finish him. It built him. Every facility runs on the same invisible architecture. Rank without titles. Rules without paper. Consequences without courts. He didn't serve his time. He studied it. Who controlled the phones, who ran the commissary, who decided whether a new inmate slept safely or didn't sleep at all. How loyalty got built. How it got broken. What happened to the men who broke it. He filed every lesson away. When they released him, the United States deported him. Standard procedure. Bus to the border. Gate closes behind him. Case closed on their end. They thought they had removed a problem. They had just graduated one. He came back to Jalisco with nothing. No money, no legal status, no way into the formal economy. But one door was open. The Tomatlan Municipal Police. He put on the uniform, and it was the most important decision he ever made. Because now, for the first time in his life, he was inside the machine designed to hunt men like him. He learned which zones had no coverage after midnight. He learned how a tip became a warrant. How a warrant became a raid. How a raid leaked 3 hours early because someone's cousin owed someone a favor. He learned which commanders chased headlines, which ones buried reports, which patrol unit waved trucks through at 2 a.m. because the overtime wasn't worth the paperwork. And he confirmed the one thing that made all of it make sense. In Jalisco, the police and the cartels weren't fighting each other. They were managing each other. He now spoke both languages. He didn't get fired. He didn't get caught.
Execute.
He left because he had learned everything the institution had to teach him. Prison gave him the network. The police gave him the blueprint. Both institutions designed to stop men like him handed him everything he needed to become one. But here's what people get wrong about cartels. They think violence is the engine. It isn't. Violence is available to anyone willing to use it. What's rare, what's genuinely hard to build, is the infrastructure underneath. The money movement, the financial cover, the ability to take dirty cash and return it to the world as something clean. Without that, you're not an empire, you're just armed men waiting to run out of money. He understood this, but he still had one problem. The cartel world runs on bloodlines, always has. You can be the most dangerous man in the room. Without the right last name, there's a ceiling you never get through. He didn't have the pedigree. So he didn't fight his way past the ceiling. He married through it. Rosalinda Gonzalez Valencia. Her family, Los Queenies, had built a money laundering operation so sophisticated that the US Treasury would later call it the financial engine of CJNG, not a support structure. The engine, shell companies, trade-based laundering, underground banking across multiple continents. When he married Rosalinda, the military wing of a future empire sat down with the financial wing for the first time. He had the street experience, the prison contacts, the police knowledge. She brought the financial architecture sophisticated enough to absorb everything he was about to build. Then history gave him exactly the opening he needed. 2009. The Millennial Cartel cracked apart. Leaders arrested, allies killed, the old order hemorrhaging. Any loyal lieutenant would have picked a side and fought for the dying flag. He didn't. He did something colder. He studied what the old model got right, stripped out everything it got wrong, and built a replacement. The Jalisco New Generation cartel. Not a continuation, an upgrade, and CJNG wasn't built like anything before it. Other cartels move cocaine, imported risk, buy from producers, move it north, split the margin. Someone else controls the supply. CJNG built around synthetics. Methamphetamine, fentanyl, products where you own the chemistry. Not just the transportation, but synthetics need precursor chemicals. And precursors come from Asia, which meant one port mattered more than any other, Manzanillo. Mexico's largest container port by volume, millions of tons of freight cycling through every year. The US Treasury identified it as a primary gateway for precursor chemicals from Asian suppliers, dual-use compounds. Legitimate on paper, until they reach the right lab, control that port. You don't just move your own product, you become the toll booth on the Pacific, then the money layer on top. The DEA documented CJNG, moving cash through underground banking networks, cryptocurrency, bulk smuggling, and trade invoices disguised as legitimate commerce. Not cash in walls, cash inside the financial system, dressed as factory payments and shipping contracts. 3 pillars: production, logistics, finance. Built simultaneously. Most cartels build one, and hope the others follow. He built all 3 at once. Losing one piece never threatened the whole machine. Then the final layer, the one that made everything impossible to dismantle, the franchise. They went to local criminal groups across Mexico with one simple offer. Keep your name, keep your territory, fly our flag, pay our percentage. In return, supply, weapons, and the most feared brand in the country. 5 years in, 28 of Mexico's 32 states. 10 years in, over 50 countries. Taking out one cell didn't collapse the network. It just opened a vacancy that filled before the paperwork was filed. They were untouchable, and now Mencho was about to prove it. May 1st, 2015. The Mexican government believed they had him. Confirmed location. Elite units moving in. A military helicopter carrying 9 soldiers. Every cartel before this moment had the same response when military aircraft appeared. Run, scatter, disappear into terrain. Nobody shot back at the sky. That was the rule. Mencho's men raised a Russian-made RPG-7, tracked the aircraft, fired, direct hit. 9 soldiers dead. A criminal organization just fought the national military in open combat and won. Mexico declared the CJNG a terrorist organization. The DEA bounty climbed to $15 million. Washington sanctioned him, his wife, through his entire network. $15 million, 2 governments, a Pentagon task force, the full weight of post-9/11 surveillance infrastructure, all pointed at one man, and he walked into the mountains and disappeared completely. No photographs, no phone intercepts, no financial trail. 10 years,
the updated schematic
his name on every database, his face on every
Another
wanted
dead
board.
end.
Nothing. But here's what nobody talks about. Every time the government tried to publicly corner him, they accidentally made him stronger. After 2015, he wasn't just a fugitive anymore, he was proof. Proof that one man could fight the army and walk away. Proof that the system could be beaten. Recruits didn't slow down after 2015. They multiplied. CJNG got louder every year. Burning highways, public executions, propaganda videos that looked like military productions.
Roll camera!
And the man commanding all of it went completely silent. No phone, no electronics, no trail of any kind. The organization performed its violence in public. His invisibility was the strategy that made the performance possible. 2016. Armed men walked into a Puerto Vallarta restaurant and took a son of El Chapo Guzman, held him, then released him alive, which was almost more alarming than killing him, because the point wasn't violence, the point was reach. CJNG was announcing, "We can touch the royal family of Sinaloa in a tourist city in the middle of the day and walk away without consequence. The bounty hit $15 million. Still nothing moved toward it. The DEA ran informant networks. The Pentagon ran signals intelligence. Mexico ran its own parallel operations. Every agency hunting him had a different chain of command, a different budget cycle, a different definition of success. He had one: survive. Divi tukstoshi divdes mites. CJNG coordinated a dawn ambush on Mexico City's police chief. Heavy automatic fire. Grenades. 2 bodyguards dead. The chief took 3 bullets and survived. Years later, he would be sitting in Mexico's national security cabinet on the night El Mencho's death set the country on fire. Each attempt to stop him became a lesson in how to survive the next one. His son arrested, extradited, sentenced to life plus 30 years. His financial lieutenants seized one after another. Wag, his inner circle dismantled piece by piece. And he kept operating, because the machine didn't need him present. That was always the design. February 2025. CJNG received a formal foreign terrorist organization designation. One way, terrorist unlocked surveillance tools and prosecution powers that hadn't been available before. January 2026, a purpose-built military task force launched, modeled on the intelligence architecture built to hunt terrorist networks after September 11th, on satellites, pattern of life analysis. The full weight of 2 governments aimed at one cartel. The $15 million bounty still uncollected. The ghost still walking, until his body gave out. There are things $15 million can't buy. By 2023, intelligence reports were picking up something that had nothing to do with weapons or drugs. Medical supplies, specialized, expensive. The kind you only need for one reason. End-stage kidney disease, dialysis, multiple times a week. You cannot do that in a mountain hideout. You need a machine, sterile conditions, power that doesn't cut out. And consumables delivered on a fixed, reliable schedule. Every single one of those requirements creates a trackable pattern. The cartel tried to engineer around it. Fake medical companies, rotating couriers, misdirection at every layer. For a while, it held. But every system leaves a signature, and the people looking for his have been searching for a decade. He chose Tapalpa. It's a resort town, private compounds, high walls everywhere. Nobody looks twice at security there. Reasonable cover. But then he made 2 decisions that unraveled everything. First, as his condition got worse, he let people he cared about get closer. After years of total isolation, he let human connection back in. Understandable. Human. Fatal. Second, he trusted the courier chain one time too many. They weren't tracking his phone. He hadn't used one in years.
We have the
they
location.
tracked the medicine.
Send the
specific dialysis solution. A specific supply configuration. Cross-referenced, layered, mapped over weeks. One compound. Outside Tapalpa, February 20th. Investigators identify a courier connected to one of his associates. They follow him, a car, a mountain road, a woman. She arrives at a resort in the Highlands. He's inside. February 21st, she leaves. He stays. The hunt just became geographic. Sunday, February 22nd, 2026. Authorization at midnight. 0 local police informed. Not one. In Jalisco, leaks don't just fail operations, they get people killed. This went straight from federal authorization to execution. No regional chain, no local coordination, no margin for error. 6 helicopters overhead. Ground units already inside Tapalpa for 48 hours, dressed as tourists, driving rental cars, waiting. When the signal came, they moved fast. The CJNG guards were professionals. RPG launchers ready. The same weapon, the same doctrine. 2015, all over again. Y'all know this time the pilots had trained for exactly that. Adjusted altitudes, pre-planned evasion, supporting gunships already in position. The perimeter lasted 4 minutes. Mencho ran. Into the pine forest. 2 guards alongside him. 10 years ago, that worked. Vanish into terrain. Let the military search empty trees. This time they followed him in. They found him in the undergrowth, not in a bunker, not behind armor, in the bushes, wounded, barely standing. Now his body already past the point of no return. A second firefight in the brush. He was hit again. Both guards went down. And even then, even with everything finished, his men overhead were still firing upward at the helicopters. The doctrine still running, even as he fell. They loaded him onto a medical helicopter. Destination, Mexico City. But Guadalajara was already burning. Landing there wasn't safe. The aircraft diverted. Nemesio Oseguera. Cervantes died somewhere in the air between the mountains of Jalisco and the city he spent 2 decades keeping at a distance. In a military helicopter, the man who built his legend shooting one out of the sky died inside one. What happened across Mexico on February 22nd wasn't chaos. It was a protocol executing itself. CJNG didn't need orders, it already had them. 250 roadblocks across 20 states, over 60 dead before sunset. National Guard units ambushed in synchronized attacks across multiple regions simultaneously. A CJNG lieutenant allegedly offered cash for every soldier killed. A military unit found him within hours. He died in the firefight. $1.4 million in mixed currency seized at the scene. By Monday, the government said it was stabilizing, roads clearing, flights resuming. And technically, that was true. But roads clearing is not the same thing as the problem resolving. The franchise he built was never designed to need him present. That was the whole point. The routes are still running, the labs are still producing, the money is still moving. What's gone is the one thing no organizational chart can replace. The center of gravity that kept 3 powerful factions from turning on each other. Sinaloa splinter factions are watching. Gulf cartel remnants are watching. Regional groups that spent years paying tribute are quietly doing the math. The succession question isn't theoretical anymore. It determines whether what comes next is a managed transition or a conflict that makes February 22nd look like a quiet morning. Mexico is months away from hosting World Cup matches. Guadalajara, CJNG's home territory, is a host city. International cameras, foreign delegations, billions of viewers, whatever comes next plays out in front of the entire world. Everything he absorbed across 4 decades. How American prisons build loyalty without rules. How Mexican police departments serve 2 masters. How ports become choke points that control supply chains. How money disappears inside legitimate business. None of that left with him. It's structural now. It operates on its own. It was designed to. And somewhere in the smoke, someone is already going through every decision made in the last 72 hours. Not grieving, taking notes. Looking at what worked, what failed. What gap a woman stepping into a car on a mountain road managed to expose. Filing it away. The same way he once filed away everything he learned inside an American prison cell. Not as a warning, as a starting point. The king is dead. The kingdom is not.